listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
Good morning, this is the Frank Skinner Show. Fans of the Birmingham dialect will be disappointed to learn that Frank's not here today, but fans of a spoilt North London twang will be very excited to hear that I am. I'm Emily Dean, I'm standing in for Frank Skinner today. We miss him as ever, and we're very excited because he's filming Doctor Who currently, which is, as excuses for a no-show go, it's pretty impressive. It's better than I've got back-to-back meetings. I'm not alone for once in my life. I'm joined this morning by one of my regulars, Steve Hall, in the house.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, Steve. I love waking up with you, which I know will be news to your heavily pregnant wife.
The relief I felt when you said spoilt North London twang. The first half of that final word, I was having palpitations.
Okay. I look forward to examining those later. I'm also joined by Absolute Radio institution, Pete Donaldson.
And it is an institution. It really is. Enjoy the institution for the next 3 hours.
Well, as an Absolute Radio institution, could you tell us how we could text the show, Pete? Do you know the number?
I think it's 81215. Text cost 50p plus your standard network rate.
Well, we don't normally include cost, Pete, just FYI.
I think it's important to, lay out exactly what they're getting out of this.
Well, you do, but we prefer smoke and mirrors on this show.
My wife's been trying to mess me up because I've been trying to, each time I get nervous about remembering the text number, and my wife was shouting 121.5.
That's like my father reading a mobile number. Yes, my number is 0717235.
Like the speaking clock. Lovely.
He is rather like the speaking clock. So yeah, text us, as Pete just said beautifully, or you can follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio. I need to talk to you boys. I have a tale to tell. I've been looking forward to sharing this with you and the readers, because you're all like my therapist in a way. I couldn't get in with my therapist this week. She was chock-a-block because of the Kanye West wedding. Right. The guest had post-traumatic stress disorder.
As all the readers are your therapists, you can invoice the show on 81215.
Don't know if they got pockets big enough, to be honest, for my problems. I had an incident. Well, I should say I have a new man in my life. Don't ask, don't tell. It's all gone a bit US military. But it's going very well. Thank you very much for asking.
We did ask, but you wouldn't tell us who he was.
No, I know, but I'll distribute a fact sheet about him after the show.
A portfolio.
Yeah.
Jose Mourinho style.
Yeah.
Lovely.
He's a few years younger than me, so winning.
Good work.
Yes. Anyway, he was staying with me last week for the night, and he had a night out planned with work colleagues. I mean, it wasn't a big Hofmeister follow the bear, lads on the night out night.
An advertising campaign that he may be too young to know about as well.
Oh, you're so cruel, but so right.
Does he remember Hooch? On Mad Dog 2020?
I'll soon find out when he goes to my fridge tonight. So, he was staying at mine and he was having this dinner, and he said, well, look, is it okay? It's going to be till... He's still checking. We're at that stage where you're still very polite with each other.
Do. You don't just go out on a night out and then just turn up at somebody you've not been going out with for very long, I don't think.
Oh, I'll have to rethink everything. I've been accepting this treatment. So we had the dinner at 9. I thought 9 was a bit louche, to be honest, for a dinner.
Yeah.
I worried there might be some Sophisticats nightclub involved.
Louche women would be an upgraded version of that show.
I'm no carbs after 7 myself, but each to their own.
Yeah.
So I said, fine, come in as late as you like. Go to a lap dancing club, bring her home. I'm still pretending to be nice.
Yeah.
So he goes to this dinner. I give him keys. It gets to midnight. I think, okay, I'd like to hear from him soon. Getting a little bit like I did. Fortunately, I get a message at 12:08. Can you tell I'm being quite forensic about this already?
Had you done a chart for his arrival?
I've written down the exact text. I can tell you what it said. It says, just having one more quick one.
Yeah, we've all done that one. Come on now. And then you come in on fire.
This was the drink.
Right.
Then I'm on my way. See you V soon. 2 kisses.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So, it's 12:08. I'm waiting for my new man to get in touch. He's just texted me and he said, I'm on my way. That's where we left things, wasn't it? I'm on my way.
Just having one more.
Just having one more.
Yeah.
That's a sentence that tripped off your tongue very easily, Pete Donaldson. I'll see you soon. Kiss, kiss. 12:57.
Oh, come on now.
This is feeling like an episode of Crime Watch. Slightly.
It gets better. No sign. I'm starting to get a little irritable. I've got to be up early in the morning. And also I've done that thing again, early stages, early doors. I've arranged my hair a bit artfully.
Yeah.
It's a bit no makeup. You're still making an effort at this stage. 1:10 a.m. Things are getting a bit ugly now.
That's an escalation over 13 minutes there.
What I've turned into, I'm checking my phone every minute. Every minute. I've turned into what my gay Scottish friend Malcolm calls angsty bed monster. Which is when you're tossing and turning all night and the other person's out. And when you're angsty bed monster, all you have to focus on is your anger at the fact that they're not back with you.
The fact that you're doing it in a Scottish accent makes me think it's like a long-lost cousin of the family Ness. If you remember that particular cartoon.
But they're out drinking, having a laugh, and so time is passing so quickly for them. Whereas I'm left in the bed, in the dark, with nothing to think about other than how furious I am.
Stick Netflix on. Just watch the telly or something.
And do you? And
I love my anger. I like being angsty bed monster.
Are you angry, or are you? Because when I start to like imagine morbid, like I'll turn on the telly and it'll be like there's some major police incident.
No, I don't care about that at all. I'm just furious that they're out having a good time and I'm being angsty bed monster. So, I'm afraid things got to 1:30 a.m. Can I just remind people that 12:08, he was just having one?
Yeah. Well, one, that's half an hour.
Yeah.
The journey home.
Yeah, but he doesn't even really drink, so one what? A peppermint tea? What's going on?
What level angsty bed monster are you at?
I've gone into
angsty bed monster. It should be Morrissey's next album. Actually,
I've gone into. Neighbours always said she was such a quiet type. I've gone that bad. Things are getting really bad. So I send a very passive aggressive text saying, "Are," just a letter. I didn't even fully spell it out. "Are you okay?" Question mark. No kiss.
I mean, he's okay. That's the most upsetting thing for him. He's okay.
Yeah.
Much to my chagrin. He replied, "So sorry. I'm glad he didn't say soz." Oh,
soz hard. Yeah. I'll be home in a bit, tuts.
Cool beans.
So sorry. I'm leaving soon. Ordered a cab for 1:45. So have to leave then. Well, that didn't play well with me.
Have to leave then? Why didn't he book it earlier?
Exactly, that's what I said.
I'm on your side now. I wasn't before.
Yeah.
Thank you
he
very
should have just lied. He should. If he'd have lied, that's the chance to lie. Had a cab booked for 12:30. Didn't
turn
come
up. Yeah, good.
I know. Anyway, when I heard the door go, he did the old tricks. We know those tricks, don't we? Changed out of the clothes downstairs, brushed the teeth downstairs, used my toothbrush, I noted. I never sanctioned that. When he came in, I totes pretended to be asleep.
Amazing.
Until I sat bolt upright and said, "What time do you call this? This is really not on,
Wow.
I think I might have said, "Who are you? I don't even know you."
Who is this stranger in my bed?
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I'm Emily Dean and I'm standing in for Frank this morning, and we're discussing me turning into angsty bed monster when my man came back rather late.
And we've had some sympathy. 631 has texted to say, "That's unbelievable. Poor Emily. I would have taken you with me and shown you off." And then he ruins it. That's a great start. And then he ruins it by saying ... or stayed at home and given you a foot massage.
That genuinely makes me feel a bit sick. Just the show you off bit is bad enough for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Foot massage.
Foot massage. Has he not seen Pulp Fiction?
Also, I'm not a fan of the foot.
Simon Page has texted to say, "Emily, you're doing a great job filling in for Frank.
Thank you.
Please don't do a Scottish accent again."
Oh, really? Oh, was it not played well?
That was alright.
I thought it was alright. I thought, you
I thought it was fine.
Get a bit of voiceover work.
Yeah. I'd be very happy with that. But, no, we have been discussing this sort of coming home late experience. And I got very cross. Obviously, we made it up in the end and everything was fine. And I quite enjoyed my aggrieved housewife role. I felt I played it rather well.
Do you have a rolling pin?
I think I said at one point, "You're drunk," which he doesn't even really drink. But I think it just made me sound better. I had the moral
It's
high
interesting.
ground.
My wife just doesn't care, and partly because she wears earplugs when she sleeps, and
She's some sort of Nora Batty figure.
Yeah. Well, my wife snores like
All
a
right, Bernard
walrus. She snores so loud. It's like a walrus is appearing on Stars in Their Eyes doing a Skrillex song. Like that's the noise she makes. And so the only time she gets annoyed is if I'm sufficiently hammered when I get in. I'll sometimes wake her up because I want to hang out.
Can I just say apologies, Frank, for discussing alcohol on your show?
So I made the mistake about 2 in the morning a few weeks ago. I woke her up. And apparently, I don't remember this, apparently I forced her to watch 15 minutes of a video on YouTube of the CEO of a jeans company talking you through adequate jeans maintenance. Which apparently...
Why were you watching that, Steve?
Every day's Christmas.
Yeah. It was the CEO of Levi's, and he was saying, put them in the freezer. You don't need to wash your jeans. Put them in the freezer or spot clean or air them. And apparently
You've gone very market stall holder.
Yeah, but my wife was apparently going, please, I want to see. I was going, no, we've got to watch the show about the jeans.
That sounds utterly hellish. I cannot think of a worse way to spend an evening.
I like to sort of come home with, like, you know, little treats I might have found in the street, like a chair leg or a bag of mannequin heads, half a tub of Greek yoghurt.
Genuinely, you strike me as a bit of a late night talker, if you don't mind me saying, Pete Donaldson.
What, you know, like, I certainly do sleep talking. Apparently I woke up a few weeks ago just saying the words, "It's dog versus dog." I don't know where that came from. I think I was pitching TV shows.
As a stay out late type.
Yeah.
I can imagine, you know, I'm just on my way
work
pet.
late. Yeah, I do that a lot. But
Why
I
pet
work,
one more?
But I work late, so it's fine. I'm reversing my sleep patterns for this show right now, so...
So do you ever get in trouble?
God, yes.
How
God,
does
yes.
how does it manifest itself?
Just general kind of... It's like a hum in the background of just, you know, people being upset with me. In all aspects of my life.
Yeah,
work,
really?
play...
I like to think, well, I think we learnt from this experience, and I think he knows if he does it again, I'll cut all the arms of his suits off.
The Frank Skinner Show. Listen live every Saturday morning from 8 on Absolute Radio.
Now, Emily, we need to talk.
Whoa!
I'm borrowing
I
your
have
phrase.
one row, and you leap straight in there.
Angsty talk monster.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to talk about David Beckham.
Well, DB, I'm always happy. I'll pull up a chair. Put the fire on.
Have you seen David Beckham is launching? Which is part of he's launching a TV show.
Oh yes.
Called David Beckham Into the Unknown. The Rebecca Lou story, possibly, but
everything's the unknown to him. Surely he's
Yes.
a footballer.
yeah. That could be
Gravity.
it could be the longest program ever.
How to make sandwiches.
Yes, certain words. Thesaurus. No, we shouldn't be cruel about DB. He went to. Was it the Amazonian?
He went. Yes, he's been on a tour of the a trip. You don't really go on a tour of the Amazon.
Play some footy with some alligators.
Hello, Amazon. Can you hear me?
Here's one you won't know. It's called Basic Hygiene.
Can I just say, Absolute Radio, etc., etc. Yes,
but he's been branded a wimp by Michael Palin because he admitted his fear of creepy crawlies.
Who rattled his cage, Palin? Who rattled your cage?
Palin seemingly angry. Palin just there going, I've been around the world in 80 days.
I like them having some sort of 8 Mile face-off, though, Palin and Beckham.
I mean, neither of them... They probably both did it quite in a rather pampered way, I suppose. It's not like they just kind of strolled in the Amazon. You know, Palin was probably had a support network, let's say.
Well, David Beckham, he said, I was like, snakes... Not a big fan of. Now, can I just say, David, I love you. I think you're really hot, but you're a grown man with 4 children. Don't say I was like.
Yeah. Well,
then he said, spiders, also not a big fan of, but frogs were the thing. And then he said, I was kind of not sure I wanted to come across one. Which sounded like he'd been overly media trained by Alex Ferguson. He can't even say he doesn't like frogs.
Well, the way he was talking about it like people talk when they're about to vote someone out of the Big Brother house. So it was like he was choosing to vote something out of the rainforest. Ultimately, I've got to let frogs out. It's nothing personal, but I just think they've got a game plan. That's all I'm saying.
Who doesn't have a frog policy? He's got, you know, I have a frog policy, yes, unless in a frog chorus. And I do not endorse their work.
I just love the idea of frogs having a game plan.
But it sounds quite an interesting thing. He said he saw some, like, touring around the areas of Brazil and so on. He saw some incredibly basic huts, but apparently they will be ready as stadiums.
Very good, Steve Hall. Yeah, I mean, Michael Palin did go a bit postal on him, didn't he? Michael Palin said, "You are a wimp, really. David Attenborough would have interviewed it." This is regarding the said frog with the game plan. Yeah. But let's be honest. I mean, Frank's got strong views on David Attenborough. I have as well. And he's really just a boxing promoter, isn't he? He's Barry Hernan's son. Because he organises fights. That's what he does. He doesn't intervene. He never. His job is to say, "Leave it. We've all had a few. Calm down."
Look at this lion kicking hell out of another lion.
We need to get Reg Gutteridge doing commentary on some natural history shows.
No, but why doesn't he intervene? Frank has pointed this out before, and I agree with him. If there were two humans doing that, someone would have to intervene. He sees two bears going at it. He lets them get on with it.
We need to ramp it up. Let's make nature documentaries pay-per-view. Let's get them like Froch versus Groves.
And you press the red button to add another bear. So it's a bear WrestleMania.
That'd be great. An animal Royal Rumble. Just throw in a new animal every 30 seconds.
I'd so watch that.
Frank
Skinner
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
You know, I was talking earlier about angsty bed monster.
ABM.
Yes. And how the gentleman caller in my life... the gentleman caller in my life had come back late, and I wasn't best pleased. Some readers have texted in, or tweeted, I should say, and advised me what to do in this situation. Paul Baker says, execute them. It seems a rather uncompromising stance to take.
It's the only language they understand.
Yes, Sarah W. says, store it for future blackmail purposes. It will always come in handy. I will genuinely do that. And Matt Cashmore says she should uphold California's 3-strike sentencing law. He'll learn. I love he'll learn.
I like the fact that Paul Baker has put execute them and then a smiley face emoticon. If only judges in the olden days had done that.
Or indeed Kim Jong-il.
Execute them, lol.
Yes. Not Kim, what's my new one?
Kim Jong-un.
Oh, Kim Jong-un. I do apologise.
Kim's right, honestly.
It's okay. He's very laid back and he won't have a problem with me getting his name wrong.
Kim Jong-lol. That could revolutionise North Korea's standing in the world.
Have you noticed, Un, as I call him, has decided he's having a bit of an image makeover, isn't he?
He's
experimenting with smiling more in photos and wearing hats.
And which means he looks more and more like Michael McIntyre with every photo as well.
That's no bad thing. We were talking also about David Beckham this morning and Creepy Crawly Gate and how he did confess to not liking creepy crawlies. And you see, I feel his pain because obviously I don't like insects very much. Although, spiders I can live with. Nice. Cockroaches, get out of my pub. Earwigs, they're a bit overrated. They don't have enough. Where's their PR?
There's not enough of them, is there? Really?
No.
You never see an earwig.
What are they? They're lacking an identity. And what about beetles? Where's your waist? Terrible bodies. The bodies are awful.
Oh, but they're shiny.
Working in the fashion industry, do you prefer stick insects?
Yeah, of course I do. Oh, praying mantis, now you're talking. What's your worst insect? In fact, would you like to text us in on 81215? I'm going to call it What's Your Worst Insect, because I like that it's grammatically incorrect. It should, of course, be... Pedants note that I am aware of this. It should be what's your least favourite insect. Is that right, Stevie?
I would go with that.
This is Donatello's David all over again.
Yes, it really is. Yeah. But yeah, I would like to know what insects you don't like. That's the kind of strange text that we do.
I really hate woodlice, the nervous elderly men of the insect world. Like they never appear for any great reason. They don't come out for food. They just hang out. They're like crappy armadillos.
Are we allowed to say that word on Absolute Radio? You're an Absolute Radio institution.
Armadillos is unacceptable.
No words in the morning, thank you.
Can I ask you a question? With a silverfish, they only appear... I mean, what's their purpose?
In libraries? I've never seen one in the...
Oh, they're always in a bath, a silverfish.
I had carpet moths for a very long time, and they were a nightmare.
Get some cream for that. What about you, Steve?
Well, I have a lengthy story about my least favourite...
Does it involve old episodes of Doctor Who? Because all your stories involve old episodes of Doctor Who. I promise
there is no Doctor Who involved, but it may involve playing a song before we do it.
Do it over the song.
Steve's taking over this morning on Absolute Radio. I'm staying in this chair. You keep your hands off.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
Now, where were we, boys?
We were discussing our worst insects.
Oh, yes.
And I had dangled my anecdote about my least favourite insects.
Yes, do tell us.
Well, so this stems... in 2007, I was in Melbourne doing the comedy festival.
Oh, I don't mean to be rude, but whenever Steve starts with in 2007, I think this is going to be quite long.
I'll try and do it...
Well, it's just there's a lot of years to cover, isn't there, to get us up to the present day? But as you were,
there's not an epic saga. There's no Lord of the Rings about why I hate this place. So Ross Noble had an absolutely beautiful ranch just on the outskirts.
So I've
of
heard,
Melbourne.
but I've talked to his wife about that.
And he did a massive camp out on his acreages. For all the comics who were performing. It was a magical day, and then at midnight he took everyone for a drive in the back of his ute to try and see kangaroos in the darkness.
Oh, I love that.
So it's a lovely thing with this straw-covered back of his ute. And it's a really lovely thing. And then there's a bit where he has to stop the car briefly to engage his four-wheel drive to get it up a hill. So we all pile out, and Josie Long stands up to discover that she has been sat... almost, not without squashing it, she's been sat right next to a huntsman spider for the whole time.
Yes.
And just the bedlam that I've never seen panic. Comedians of various stripes losing their mind. The only thing I can compare it to is, you know, when an American magician on a street corner in like a rundown area does a trick and people are like running up and down the street. Oh my God! We were reacting like someone had just shown us a magic trick somewhere in New Mexico.
It was like when I walk into a bar at the Edinburgh Festival. The comedians run.
Absolute terror. They're huge huntsman spiders. They're
Josie Long's not big either, is she?
Yeah, she's a small person, so absolute terror. They're massive. They're actually not as dangerous. They want to be left alone. They'll deliver a bite. But just as people calm down... and everyone was, and Ross had just quite casually thrown it out of his car, and it was fine.
Get over there.
Yeah.
Did Ross do that?
Let me hide it over there.
That's made me find Ross at least 14% more attractive. I like that.
Yeah, but he threw it into Josie Long's face. It was really horrible.
Steve wants to finish his story. Just
as people chilled out, and Ross had been the hero, he then went, of course, they always hunt in pairs.
I like that he went to go see some kangaroos. Right, what do we need to see some kangaroos? We need to be really quiet. Let's get a ute full of comedians to look at these kangaroos.
That's going to be the new collective noun for comedians.
A ute.
I can actually think of some more offensive ones.
You're listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
This is the Frank Skinner Show on Absolute Radio. You can text the show on 81215, or you can follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio. I'm Emily Dean. I'm standing in for Frank this morning, and I'm joined by Steve Hall in the house, also known as Wikistevia.
Oh, yeah.
Now he's gone a bit creepy. And Pete Donaldson.
I'm off the subs bench. What's happening with this show? Frank's not been seen for weeks. Alan had a black eye last week. It's like that last days of Rome. Put a shirt on, Emily, honestly.
People turning on the webcam, or maybe turning it off, who knows. We're talking this morning, I'm going to come clean. My text-ins are a little unconventional. I think I've had, how much does it cost to build a wall?
Yeah.
Last week didn't I have something about, what's your favourite Donatello? No, what's your favourite David statue?
Yeah.
Michelangelo or Donatello?
And the debate about whether it was Stratford on or up on Avon.
Yeah.
Yes. This week, I'm doing what's your worst insect? Someone has tweeted me and very kindly pointed out that they think that text is a bit Route 1. And what are we going to be doing next? What's your favourite colour? Pink, FYI.
Purple.
I would argue they fundamentally miss the point.
Yeah, but, they're joining in, so...
Yes, it's nice.
We've
had an overwhelming response as well.
Have we?
We've had some very strong answers. Some of these, some people have texted in with, on 81215, with suggestions that things I've never heard of, so I've been sufficiently worried I've Googled the names to make sure they are actually real things and not like something deeply smutty that no one would want to
For the what's your worst insect.
So
and it's not what's your least favourite, because that's grammatically correct, it's what your worst insect.
Your worstest.
Yeah.
So 982 has said, morning guys, in New Zealand we have the Weta, W-E-T-A. This is worth a Google. They are freaky, ugly looking things.
Well, don't Google that. I've Wikipedia'd it. It's horrible.
Is
they
it?
are fat, horrible little things. Like, when insects stop becoming hard
What is it?
shelled.
Is it the Jonah Hill of the insect world?
They just become fleshy and it's kind of...
Oh, I don't like that. I don't like Yeah, but has it got definition, the Weta? What's this person in NZ called?
982.
982. has it got definition? Because that's what I require. A bee and a wasp, they've got a waist. You know
Right,
where you
okay,
stand.
yeah.
They're Kardashian. What I don't like is that beetle flatness. I can't
Where
bear
it's just
it.
all round. If you can curl into a ball, we're not interested.
Would it kill them to work
Hedgehogs.
out and spot reduce and get some definition?
Here's one, 395. It said, I hate an insect called a Parktown prawn. They are from South Africa. They hiss at you when you go near them and are impossible to kill. Which makes it sound like it's Arnold Schwarzenegger playing the title role in
like it's
Parktown
They
prawn.
hiss at you. That sounds like me when you come back late. I'm a Parktown prawn.
And again,
like
I've
a weird
Googled
gang.
it to make sure, because there is a worry if you type Parktown prawn into Google, who knows what you're going to come up with. But it's
It's actually a West Side Story. We're the Parktown prawns. You best not come round here. We'll hiss at you.
apparently it's a variant on a giant cricket.
Is it?
Insects
But,
are disgusting. Somebody will probably say it's not even
Pete
an insect.
Donaldson.
They really are. I hate them all.
Do you not like any of them?
I like cicadas because they're really fascinating. Because when you hear
Oh,
them
but
clicking,
everyone says that because
Yeah,
you want to
but-
seem all, I like a mojito, I'm in a bar. Oh, I'm
No,
all
but it's like-
loose and summer days.
But they live for like 7 years underground, and then they only come up for 7 weeks and do their business and then
Party!
die. Party for 7 days, Andrew WK style.
That's like the man who does the voiceovers for Big Brother.
They only come up for 7 weeks.
Can I ask, why didn't you get that gig? You'd be
I know.
brilliant at that.
I found out that he had like a quiz show. that fella.
Marcus Bentley.
Marcus Bentley. He had like a quiz show for like 1 week or something, and it was just him. Like I don't think you can actually see him. I think it's him going, "You've won the prize."
Can I say what I like is that you said in a beautifully northern way, he had quiz show.
Yeah, quiz show.
You didn't say a quiz show.
Down Mill.
Anyway, I think you should be getting that. If any broadcasters are listening out there, could what was that noise?
That was a wonderful squeak of someone's chair, but it sounded...
That was my career elevating.
Excuse me,
It sounded like a Parktown prawn letting flip.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
I've been loving discussing our worst insects on Absolute Radio this morning.
I must apologise on air for... I went to say Parktown prawn letting rip or let fly, and I said a Parktown prawn letting flip.
That works.
And,
That works for me.
Disgusted at my own use of language.
I quite liked it. It was like someone on Grange Hill or something.
Yeah.
Not being able to use a
Yeah.
Category C swear word.
Well, it sounds like a Top of the Pops presenter trying to be down with like a rap group. Hey, those kids are going to let flip.
I thought it was more flipping heck, Tucker. Are we allowed to say that on Absolute Radio, Pete Donaldson?
Tucker.
You know what it's time for? I think as I've got you both with me, we're all naked, let's take a little wander in...
Email corner.
Boys, have we heard from the outside world?
We certainly have. Good morning, Frank, Emily, and the cockerel.
Oh,
Unfortunately,
Pete reads these properly, just so you know. It's brilliant. No, but you read them like a proper man.
like a proper man.
Yes.
Like a real packed out
That is... I need some calamine lotion for the burn I've just received.
I didn't mean it like that.
She really
Steve.
flipped in your face, so whatever we said before. She really let it flip.
Not like the way Steve reads emails, like his own little teapot.
Steve, I'm so sorry. I can't apologise enough. I'll be like Beckham. I was like, Steve,
Could
no.
be a new double act, the real man and the Untermensch.
No, I just meant we don't read them in the proper Absolute Radio way.
It's
Do you-
fine. It's
Like,
fine.
I read like a DJ, basically. That's what you're saying.
No.
So it's a burn for
Oh,
both
no,
of
I'm
us.
offending
Burns left, right,
everyone.
and centre. Honestly, this person is after some advice. I have recently started to learn how to drive. I had a 2-hour lesson yesterday, and during the lesson, the driving instructor asked me to stop and wait while he used a public toilet.
Absolute disgrace.
During the same lesson, he also asked me to pull into a petrol garage, so that he could fill up the tank. Surely these things are the things that he should be doing in his own time, not while I'm paying him £20 an hour for his tuition. Should I pull him up on it or let it pass? How high do you think this rates on the taking liberties scale? That's indeed the question. I feel a bit annoyed, but he is a nice old man. He was recommended by a friend, and he's done quite a good job so far. So I said nothing at the time. How do you think I should approach the subject if something similar happens again? Have any other readers experienced anything similar? Sincerely yours, Reader 3787.
Wow.
Oh, well, you've gone completely off menu with the old 4 digits there for
Yeah,
a start.
yeah.
I like your looseness. You're crazy.
Yeah.
What do you
I
think
briefly
about
worried
this?
that's the number in Scum. That I think that's 4737 Carlin, sir.
Reference to Scum on Absolute Radio this morning on the breakfast show. Keep it light, Steve. I have to say, I used to have a driving instructor who used to do infinitely worse things than this. It was made into a film called Confessions of a Driving Instructor, starring Robin Asquith. No, what he used to do, he was called Keith. He was, it was a lovely chap, Jamaican chap, and he would stop, and I'm not doing an accent, and he would stop, and he would go into the house, he'd say, I'm just stopping here. So, okay. He'd be gone for about, and then a woman would answer the door and be gone for about 15 minutes.
Hello.
Yes.
This is Confessions of a
I
Driving
don't think
Instructor.
he even had time to say that.
Yeah.
And then he'd always say, I'm picking something up, I'm dropping something off.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty incredible. So he would stop off to visit a lady friend.
And then
is that
one
what you're
time
saying?
we had to go to his family house, and all I'm saying is it wasn't the same house. One had Pebble Dash, the other didn't.
Right. Okay.
Wow. So it's like it's a different version of an emergency stop. an urgency stop.
Yeah. When
Who
I
feels the need.
when I bang my clipboard on the dashboard,
Yeah.
let's have sex.
They don't do that anymore, actually, do they?
What,
They
they
don't
don't-
do the emergency stop anymore.
do they
Oh,
not?
do they not?
No,
I don't.
apparently not. I don't know why they stopped it. If anyone else, in addition to what are your worst insects, you could text us in if you know why they stopped doing the emergency stop in the driving test. I think that'd be a really good text in, don't
Yeah.
you?
I mean, and if you've got any advice for this guy who's obviously
Yeah.
in all kinds of problems.
My suggestion is the next time, because the next time this bloke goes to the toilet when he's on the clock, he should, when he returns from the toilet, he should say, "What you've just done is a perfect metaphor for what you're doing with my money."
Oh, you've got that moment where he drives up to your house, you get in the car, you have a little bit of a chat, and then you swap places, so you both get out of the car, and while you do that, just key it. key the whole thing, or maybe steal something out of his
Yeah.
car, like parts of the car, like the gear stick, something like the car manual, and just keep on.
The gear stick.
And every time this happens, just keep on taking little bits of his car until you've got a full car and he's got no.
And he's
car.
got a Flintstone style thing. He's got to pedal with his feet.
I love that idea, but I'm a bit more of a fan of what's your favourite colour?
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Have we had any texts this morning on 8, 12,
We have
15?
indeed. On the subject of what's your worst insect, Glenn Bateman, his worst insect is ants, and he simply says, "Get your own cake."
I
Thieving
love
little
that.
creeps.
Just a man asleep in a garden, like covered in ants and cake.
To be fair, they come in peace. They mean no harm. And what I would say about ants, sometimes if you spill some Coca-Cola, let's say, I like the way I said that. It's quite 70s, wasn't it, referring to it in full. If you spill some Coca-Cola, and then you'll see them crawling to their own little demise in a puddle.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think this will be the great ant flood. It'll go down in their history books. It's nothing to me. It's a little drink.
Can you drown an ant? I'm confused.
What do you mean?
What? So
That was,
if
that was one of Stu Francis's least effective catchphrases on Crackerjack. Can you drown an ant?
Are you genuinely asking me that?
Yeah.
He was suggesting I'm not some David Attenborough figure. I don't set up boxing matches between ants and earwigs.
It sounds like you have been
Yeah.
though.
We've
No,
also had,
unintentionally. Can I just say I'm very kind to the animal kingdom?
we've had a lot of hatred for earwigs. There is a strong anti-earwig
Aren't earwigs?
consensus.
Are earwigs a bit 70s?
Yeah, I would argue you just don't see them anymore.
No,
Maybe it's like white dog poo and frazzle.
Yeah, yeah.
they've gone the way. Yeah.
Well, Alan retains a fear of earwigs, even if he's not seen them. He said when he was little, his mum told him that they get into your ears and eat your brains out.
Well, that is
and
true.
50 years later, he's still scared.
That is true, though. In fairness, yeah, I'm still. It's still Beatles I've got an issue with, and that's to do with
That time you met Paul McCartney.
No, it's to do with the fact that they don't keep in shape and work out, and they have terrible, terrible bodies. Pete Donaldson.
Like that time you met Paul McCartney.
No, he looks good. He's got the black trainers with he has the little raised platform trainer. You know, they all wear those, don't they, the rock stars now?
Oh, what, with the platform in the soles, so they're a little bit taller.
Well, yeah, but what it is, they'll say, oh, I'm wearing a trainer anyway. And, oh, looky here, it's given me an extra 3 inches. I know your game. Pete Donaldson.
Hello.
You know I was talking about Angsty Bed Monster
Yes.
earlier? In the middle of Angsty Bed Monster Gate, if anyone's just woken up, what's wrong with you? Sort your life out, it's far too late. No, I was talking earlier about how my boyfriend had got in late and I was a little bit upset.
Yes,
And
you were
I'd been having a go at him.
around.
I was writhing around
Covered in ants.
In anger. No, that's on Tuesdays. He asked for that. So during this whole incident, I received a text from Pete, which was great because it was about 1
Hey,
o'clock.
what are you doing, Em?
No, you didn't say that.
What's going on? Are you home alone? Thanks to bed monster.
Turned into some Mexican waiter for some reason. But no, what happened was when my boyfriend finally arrived home, I used your text and I said, I've been busy anyway. I've had loads of people texting me. I've had a lot on. And I held it up as evidence. And you'd been doing an event, hadn't you?
Yeah, we've been doing. I do like a football podcast, and we were doing some kind of live show.
It's called the Football Ramble. It's very good, I should say.
Football Ramble. And we were doing our very first live show down at the Arcola Theatre in East London. And as part of the
He's plugging it now. I did not say
it's
you
gone.
could
There's
plug
not
it.
another one. And we did the live show, and I did a video with you talking about managerial touchline fashions and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, technical area chic.
So we'd done.
I'm a big fan of that.
So we'd done 2 hours of content, and Emily's and mine's video was only like 2 minutes long, and I was expecting the adoring public.
I was cut to shreds.
It was originally 4 hours long.
It was. I was cut to absolute shreds.
But at the end of the gig, I was sort of effectively like waiting for people to go, "Oh, Pete, you did a great job there, brilliant, really enjoyed that, really funny." But every single person, bar nobody, wanted to talk about you.
Oh, I love this.
I was upstaged by video link.
Do you know what? I love this so much. I might have to extend it into the next link.
The Frank Skinner Show. Listen live every Saturday morning from 8 on Absolute Radio.
What were we talking about? This is a professional start to a link, but what were we talking
We
about?
were talking about Pete's podcast.
Oh, yes,
Getting
yeah.
upstaged
is that-
by-
no, I know.
As if you actually forgot.
what
were
happened?
we talking? Oh, that's right. We were talking about how everyone loves me.
My brilliance.
So tell me again.
Well, yeah, we did a podcast, and everybody wanted to talk about you, Emily. You were seen for like 2 minutes out of a 2-hour show.
Thanks for that, yeah.
And so but just a succession of 25-year-old good-looking chaps, and they were
I know.
good-looking chaps, even though they're football podcast fans.
Oh, it's like buses, isn't
they
it? It's
were
always the wrong timing. I've got terrible timing. I'm spoken for now.
Because I briefly got confused when you referred to technical area chic. I thought that was some kind of downstairs grooming.
No,
It's as
but
technical as
I do-
an area can get, I think.
Of
Goodness
that, I
me.
just say, yeah.
Yeah, and if your boyfriend arrives home late, he's banned from the technical area for 3 games.
got stadium
Let's
ban.
not go in. Let's not stray into that area. That's what I say anyway. When I'm late.
Don't call it the dugout.
Anyway, I'm glad to hear it went well.
It did go well, thank you very
Good.
much. All thanks to you, clearly. I was just a
Yes.
little bit put out that everybody on Twitter was talking about you, everybody in the actual Arcola Theatre was
Well, you're
talking
going to
about
have
you.
to get used to it. I'm kind of a big deal.
I
People
didn't
know
realise
me.
this though, Emily. That was the most upsetting thing. You wouldn't have been in the video if I knew that.
Have we had any texts, Steve?
We have just in terms of housekeeping to clear up the emergency stop thing. We've had quite a few responses on this.
Yes, because I was asking whether they still do such a thing in driving tests these days.
There's a few different theories, but they all generally agree on the main details. So 639 has said the emergency stop, they still do it, but it's only once in every 3 tests, and that's because of the ABS on all cars.
Oh, so
And
Okay.
Michelle, who is a driving examiner, says they no longer tap the dashboard, they hold up their hand and say, "Stop!" and I don't know why I held my hand up as if I was on an episode of Oprah. And they hold up their hand and they say, "Talk to the hand."
drive to the hand.
Okay. Well, that was very factually accurate. So thanks very much for that, Steve.
Yes.
And
ABS, what is... Because I can only
I don't
get...
know, I don't-
I'm getting angsty bed steering.
I'm getting something that needs medication to clear up.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've been having a moment of genuine joy, haven't we?
Yes, but I'd rather not talk about that on Absolute Radio.
Just seeing the headlines on the telly about 90-year-old Bernard Jordan.
Yes, this is the chap who is escaped from his care home to go to the
Fantastic.
D-Day celebrations.
Because they wouldn't let him out.
I love it.
And so he just went.
He just went for
There's
it.
just pictures of like all of the staff in the care home celebrating with him as he returns. He's gonna get it. He's gonna be snooker ball in the sock when he get him inside.
It's just the fact that I wonder how long he's been planning it for. Whether the other, he's dug a tunnel.
I think he should get PR now. He needs international representation.
Yeah, advertising something escapey.
I hope he doesn't sign up to any dodgy brands. No, but they exploit them, the elderly.
Yeah. You'll just see him on the breaks in between, like, Countdown or 15 to 1. Now that we're getting on a bit, we need insurance. But he's also...
He could do those Parky ads.
Yeah.
I'd be much more likely to buy it off him.
Yeah.
And instead of like a free carriage clock, you get a shovel or something so you can escape.
Yeah.
He's
Free
going to be
mace.
swimming in totty as well. Just all manner of grot if he wants it.
I believe he got the ferry, actually.
Well, that'd be an easy one because you got the coach. Obviously, it'd be like National Express or something like that. Could sign him up.
Yeah.
Yes, what a great idea.
Arriving in style with Bernard.
Well, I think he's wonderful. And Bernard, if you're listening, call me. You know what else I'd like to talk about this morning is I've been rather obsessed by this Birmingham mother, Michelle Bardsley, 35.
Birmingham mother.
She's a market trader. Well, as Frank's not here,
Yeah.
we need to tick our Birmingham box. She's a market trader. She apparently spotted a UFO the other week. I should say, because this isn't the first Midland-based UFO sighting. They see them a lot over there. No, that's true. They often spot objects in the sky. This isn't a ramp to material.
It really felt like there was a
Yeah.
punchline arriving there.
Yeah.
No,
the
I'm afraid I
sun.
don't do
I
punchlines.
thought it was a criticism of, like, the way West Brom play football while Frank's away. They see an object in the sky, it's Route 1 all the time, they just hoof it out of the
I
stadium.
wouldn't do that. I enjoy my job far too much. She filmed it, though, which was clever of her. She'd gone to the back door for a cigarette, and as she said, this was her statement. She said it in her accent. Unfortunately, I can only do Adrian Childs' accent when I do a Birmingham accent, so it will sound rather masculine. She said, I went to the back door for the cigarettes. I looked up and there was shaped like orbs in the sky. I thought I'd had a few too many rum and cokes.
First of all, very good Adrian Charles.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay, good.
Well, she originally said she was painting indoors, and then she goes outside for a cigarette. She's just inhaling constant fumes. She's ripped to the UFOs on fumes.
I like that she spent 40 minutes, this Childs woman, filming it. And then she did what anybody does when they've seen a UFO. She had to go and get her slippers and had to come back inside for her fags. I love that her slippers and her fags were her priority.
It's such a dull video.
Yeah,
Such a
it's
dull
so
video.
good.
Have you
and
watched
and there's
it?
a bit where it moves. It's so obviously a reflection of something. And it
There's
looks like
also-
football floodlights. And I've looked at the dates of this. Solihull Moors were playing. She's from Solihull.
Yeah.
Solihull Moors were
I
playing
looked at the
Leamington
dates.
in the Conference North.
Why
that
has
evening.
nobody done this at the
Yeah.
newspapers?
It was a dull
Why
0-0
is this
draw.
down to you, Steve?
Because they're not a little bit weird.
It's also the most 1970s news story I've seen in a while. It needs to follow that with a dog that can say sausages or a carrot that looks like some genitalia. That's
You know what I like, Steve, is that you can clearly see, a pair of jeans moving away and some Reeboks as well. Someone's holding a torch,
well, it's
I
like
think.
a really low rent version of the X-Files. It's like
Yes,
a
it is.
Poundland X. No, it's like X-Files as if Shane Meadows had directed it.
Yeah, but they're in Birmingham. Give these people a break. I love Birmingham's.
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
On the,
What's happening?
On the worst
Bros?
insect front.
Yes.
What I quite like, some people have essentially written small horror stories in the shape of a text or a tweet with
I
their,
thought that
with
was the
their
name
worst
of an
insect.
insect. I'd love that insect.
We've got Paul from Canning Town has said, I lived in Washington, D.C., and I noticed a cockroach in the digital display of my microwave. I then shone a torch in the back of the microwave vent holes, and it was infested with them. I cannot use microwaves anymore.
Oh, somebody doesn't know how microwaves work. That's how they work. Cockroaches.
Are they powered by cockroaches?
Yeah. Oh,
It was a controversial episode of Tomorrow's World where Judith Han revealed that to the world for the first time.
Pulls the back off. It's full of blooming cockroaches.
They're hard workers, cockroaches. They don't get the credit they deserve.
Industrious.
They are. Kim Jong-un is a big fan of them. He employs them.
And Glenn Bateman, who tweeted earlier
Also,
to say why...
I'm sorry to interrupt, but
Sorry.
cockroaches, what are their bodies like?
Crunchy. Delicious.
No, but
Like a
they're
dime bar.
I think they're quite
dim
well
bar.
proportioned, so I'll let them off. They have waist, don't they?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
mainly wing. Can they
Oh,
fly?
are they?
Can they fly? They can fly, can't
I don't
they?
know, I don't actually know. This could be a good... They could
Yes,
be like,
no, flying cockroaches, don't get me started.
It could be like the
Why have I
cockerels.
turned into Julie Walters?
They could be the nemesis of the cockerel. The cockroachal.
Yes. Reaching a bit there, but yes.
Glenn Bateman's explaining, because he tweeted before to say he hated ants and they steal cakes, and he's now...
I tell you what, Glenn Bateman is, he's risen.
doing much better than his brother Patrick.
Yes, yes.
If you're familiar with
Little
Martin
literary joke
Psycho,
there
yes.
from Wikipedia.
He said, ants completely and stealthily...
I thought he said ants complete me, like Dr. Evil.
You had me at ants. Ants completely and stealthily hollowed out my first Holy Communion cake. It collapsed when my mum sliced it. Oh, the horror.
That's like an allegory for faith. It's what you make of it. You know? It's only what you put in, you get out.
His beliefs came crumbling.
Definitely.
I'm glad we've been discussing religion this morning on Absolute Radio.
Yeah.
Because Frank's not here, and he always does, like, you know, giving it a little mention.
He'll be back next week, though, won't he? Is he scheduled in?
Let's see how things pan out today, shall we?
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
You're listening to the Frank Skinner Show this morning. I said that all wrong. I'm going to start it again. We're not live, are we? Good. This is the Frank Skinner Show. I'm Emily Dean. I'm standing in for Frank this morning because he's off filming Doctor Who. He's got plans. You can text the show on 81215 or you can follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio. I'm joined by Steve Hall in the house.
Good morning.
And I'm also joined by Pete Donaldson.
I've never actually seen Doctor Who.
Have you
Ever.
not?
Not a single episode. Shall I start with Frank's episode? Would that be the ultimate tribute to the
That'd be
man
good.
who's
And it's,
allowed me on his show?
Peter Capaldi as well. I think he's going to be good.
Well, I'm hoping, plot-wise, they might play on the vague
Oh, no.
physical
Why did you do
similarity.
this? You've started him now.
I didn't realise...
It's like putting money in the slot. He'll just keep going. And then in 1953...
I mean, as I said, I've never seen it. I think I saw half a Doctor Who where there was an Englishman dressed up like a Chinese man, and it was a bit racist, so I turned it off. And it was an old 70s
Well,
one.
that's the least of the BBC's worries right now. Yes. No, I tuned in once and there was someone wearing a pig mask. And someone going, "So, Doctor."
No,
I thought,
that was
I'm
the-
afraid I
no.
have
This is,
a
of course,
mortgage.
because you were in day of the Triffids, so there's a certain kind of... It's like the Sharks and the Jets.
You were actually watching Dr. Pig. It was
Yes,
a very
that's
popular
right.
show back then.
I think it's also just because, I don't know, I mean, I have discussed this previously on ER, but I think it's partly because, a lot, you know, you may know, Pete, my parents were actors,
Yes.
or my mother was an actress, often out of work, and I think a lot of our friends were into things like Doctor Who,
Yeah.
and I would see them sitting up late into the night drinking red wine and smoking and saying, "It's a great little theatre, that. I've got this terrible job on Who next week." So it just lost all its charm and magic for me.
But they would probably regard that as kind of not beneath them, but like it wouldn't be, back then it wouldn't be that amazing a job to be on Doctor Who, in the same way that before
Yes.
Star Wars started,
Yeah.
Yes, you're
Alec
right.
Guinness didn't want to do it, nobody really wanted to do it, they just thought, you know...
Oh, now it's something of a coup.
But he's on. I'm just terrified that Doctor Who is going to be arrested as part of the inquiry.
I think we're safe with
Just him
the
and-
current
Him
Doctor.
and Pudsey Bear.
What else?
We were going to.
Oh, shall we go to email corner?
Back to email corner.
Shall we do the jingle again, Charlie? Okay, she stuck her thumb up in the
Paul
manner of a
McCartney.
sort of.
And
No,
it's
very,
where she stuck it up that was most alarming.
It was very 1980s roadshow the way she did it.
Go, jingle.
Email corner.
Appropriate enough, as we are celebrating the heroics of the gentleman who represented us in
Oh,
Normandy
Bernard.
70 years ago, in particular Mr. Jordan. We've had an email
Pete,
from
can I just
Normandy.
say, Pete Donaldson was suggesting, what if he never fought? Was what you
Because
suggested.
that's what I'm planning to do when I get to his age. I'm going to buy some medals. An evening somewhere you can buy medals. I don't know.
Get them on
and just
eBay.
walk around, call myself major.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
this is the
Medals and-
terrifying thing, is that at this point in time, we know nothing about him
No.
other than that he's a hero.
Oh, John
So if
Kerry runs for president, and
Yeah.
everyone's all over his Vietnam career. But you know,
So if suddenly Mr.
What
Jordan
did you
is
say,
on
John
telly just
Terry?
going, well, Farage has
John
got some
Terry
good
is
points.
apparently running for president, which is a bit worrying. Anyway, as you were.
So an email from Normandy, from
Oh,
expat
lovely.
prisoner 215, who says, "Dear Frank, the Divine Miss M, and Monsieur Coq-au-Vin,
Well, you've
I-
got the cast list all wrong, but never mind.
I have what I believe is a first world dilemma that you may be able to help me with. In order to escape the stresses of life here in Normandy, I often like to retire to the cellar
Oh, dear.
to partake in a few minutes of darts practice.
that's a relief.
I have numerous techniques that I like to employ in order to improve my admittedly rather poor skills. but perhaps my preferred method is the 101 in 6 darts or less, as seen in 80s Arrows quiz Bullseye.
I love 80s Arrows quiz.
He actually calls it Cult Arrows quiz. It's nothing cult about Bullseye. It was just a classic of its time. As I have heard this...
It's not Pulp Fiction, in fairness, is it?
As I've heard this particular televisual classic mentioned on previous editions of your hilarious, wonderful, fulfilling show, and he's sort of written that like super smashing great to fill in with
maybe that's what he
the
means.
Bullseye thing.
Except it's a bit more... It's like an articulate Jim Bowen. It's like if Jim Bowen had done English literature.
You've got two in the... nothing...
I'll tell you exactly what it is.
Oh, God,
Can I tell you what it
I
is?
stumbled so horrifically over my Jim Bowen then.
I'm going to do it for you.
You're not winning the speedball.
Stay out of the black and keep in the red. There's no room in this game for two in a bed.
There we go.
There you
go, thank you.
It's hilarious, wonderful, fulfilling. He said, I thought you might be able to help with the following question. If I get a bounce out, am I allowed to re-throw the dart according to the original Bowen-imposed rules?
Thank you for your okay, and that's from Expat Prisoner 215. As a northerner, Pete, I'm going over to you.
Well,
what's your view on this?
Well, I was on holiday last week, and I was playing with those electronic darts things. I was in Japan, so they don't have sharp darts; they just have the plastic darts.
Oh, really?
And so whatever you hit, it comes up on the scoreboard. Because they love electronic things out there. So everything has to be electronic, and as long as it registers on the board, it can bounce out. It's fine as long as it's registered in my.
That's brilliant.
Wow.
In future darts.
I must go there. Oh no, I can't. I hate Japan.
The Frank Skinner Show. Listen live every Saturday morning from 8 on Absolute Radio.
We've had a text from 931 on the subject of worst insect. She says her worst insect is the slug, in particular the one...
Is that an insect?
Surely not.
I wasn't
Surely
sure.
not.
I thought it's the first showing for slug.
I would say it was a mollusk.
Ah,
Yeah.
fair enough.
I'm thinking it's a prawn.
They're protesting their the one that uses their lounge and kitchen as its slime route every night.
Slime route.
Sounds like my dad when he was drinking, to be honest.
Slime route sounds like the best club.
Sounds like a lot of men I've dated. Not the current one. He's all right.
Well, he clearly isn't, as you started the show with.
No, I took responsibility for that. I think it was my fault.
Now, I wanted to talk about. I wanted to ask you both a question. Last week.
We've told you. We're both
You're not
very
into that.
We're both very happy with the partners we have.
With the slugs we own. We don't want to buy your slugs. It's horrible. Don't bring the slugs in.
It's an illness. I can only apologise.
Slug salesman. Known
salesman,
slug
Steve.
salesman. Yes, Steve, sorry.
It's the good thing is if someone steals your slug, they always leave a trail, so it's easy to get it back. So last week I had one of the best. One of the best pieces of theatre I've ever been to. I went to see Clive James give a talk.
Oh, I love Clive James.
He's just incredible. It was moving, funny. He was reading some of his poetry. It's just a
Very
brilliant,
smart man.
brilliant. And it's a real example of the fact that someone that literate was on telly all the time and was just watched all the time. Someone is.
Can I just apologise?
Someone is counting
You
in.
just
Someone's
heard
agreeing with me.
Someone's saying
Clive.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was Sandy Waugh, who's
Counting
just
down.
signed up for
Yeah.
Strictly Come Dancing and was practising her samba in the other room.
If someone hears me talking about Clive
Sandy-
James, they have to count to 10 before they punch a wall.
That's the new AE Houseman. Sandy Waugh's Strictly Come Dancing warm-up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again,
It's like
1,
the
2,
Clive
3,
James alarm.
4, 5, 6. One more.
It's good because she usually starts her news bulletin warm-ups with the really bad swear words.
Can you imagine?
Wow.
Sandy, thank you for your contribution,
Yeah.
but not at this time,
1,
please.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Wait till you hear her late night one, which is 7, 8, 9, 10.
If you'd like to hear how that ends, tune in the same time next week. Sandy
with
Wall
Sandy.
counts to 1,000,000, 6 numbers at a
That
time.
might be my favourite ever moment on Absolute Radio.
The countdown, the Sandy Walk countdown. She doesn't know we're talking about.
Yeah. Suddenly,
She doesn't.
you
Yes, she
dropping
does.
the coffee on the desk last week feels less bad now.
Oh, 1, 2, 3.
Oh, it's like Hollyoaks Nights, Sandy Waugh Nights. Wait till she gets to double figures.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
Where were we, Steve?
Well, I was midway through talking about Mr. Clive James, who had
Yeah, and I didn't put your mic up.
Ah.
It's not the most professional start.
1, 2,
there we
3,
go.
4, 5.
And David Baddiel has just texted me. You know I'm on air, David Baddiel. He says, either I'm going mad, yes, I'm doing the voice, Or the first hour of your show this morning was repeated in the second hour. Or you told the driving instructor story twice. So that's the third thing I don't want. This is to do with the facts. Pete, would you care to explain as an Absolute Radio
Well, I mean,
expert?
it's one of two options, isn't it, really? One is that you've done something wrong with the desk.
Okay.
Like you let Sandy War in.
It's
You
not
didn't-
out
you
of the
didn't put
realm of possibility.
You didn't put Steve's mic up, you know.
Yeah.
Or he may have switched over in between. He might listen to 1 hour on Absolute Radio and then maybe listen to the next hour on Absolute Radio 90s or
Okay.
80s or 60s or one of the digital services. I
There you
suppose.
go. Thanks for saving me the cost of that text.
Or a slug might have done it.
That's very handy. Steve Hall,
So I was talking about Clive James.
Yes.
So it was wonderful.
who I'm a huge fan of.
And there are certain people who are so... When you're in the presence of greatness, at the end of their performance...
You should be honoured about
stand.
my lateness.
Yeah, you stand. If there are
And
certain
bearing
people...
in mind what state that man's life is in
Yes,
motorsport,
exactly.
Yes.
You know,
It's
he's
the
not a well
courage,
man. And,
the
yeah.
No, you're
courage
right.
of him. It's and the fact that he's utterly unfazed by it. So
Yeah.
he doesn't consider himself unlucky. He's stoic through it all.
He's a national treasure. He's a world treasure.
Yeah, absolutely. And so
Although he is an Australian national treasure, which is at least 33% less significant.
But so at the end of the talk, everyone in the theatre stood to applaud him, apart from two people sat immediately to my right, who quite defiantly refused to stand. And it's the sort of thing where before you shoot them a dirty look, you have to make sure there's nothing wrong with them.
Right, yeah.
You've got to check. Yeah, you've got to check
for
the
a
legs.
stick. You don't know whether the stick might be underneath the seat.
Precisely, and
Or they're not Britain's fattest man.
Yeah.
Or they're not Jason Sirkin from the Daily Telegraph, the editor of the Daily Telegraph. Who obviously fired him.
It became quite apparent that there was nothing wrong with him. It was arms folded. I don't stand for this person, and so I lost my temper. I got the angriest I've ever been, and just went, "Really?"
Did you?
But that's as angry as I dare get.
Oh, more animal than man.
But I'm intrigued. Do you? What's your policy on standing ovations?
I have strong views on this. I feel when it comes to the what I call the John Arnie rise, I feel I had it at the BAFTAs recently. I was up and down all night, and
Were you with your boyfriend?
yes, I was. But I often wear I wear quite tight, restrictive clothing, so it's hard for me. And if I'm up for Scylla, I don't want to be up 5 minutes later for Julie Walters. I mean,
Right,
I'd much
so
rather be up for Julie Walters.
So you've got to choose when
I've
you
got
do
to choose. And also, I don't start the ovation. I'm a follower, not a leader. And you know those people that are on their feet, and this is because I have post-traumatic stress disorder, because my father would stand up at the end of Hamlet or something and say, "Bravo! Bravo!"
Right.
And sometimes say encore at the end of Hamlet. You want to see that again? Even the actors don't want to do it again.
As long as he didn't follow it with une fois, encore une fois.
Actually, I've got a nasty feeling he might have done that at some stage.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
What else on Absolute Radio this morning?
All kinds of stuff.
I just like saying that. Frank likes saying, what else? Just as a call to arms.
Okay, what's happening?
Yes, what other stories do we like?
What's up?
Do you remember Wimbledon, that tennis competition?
I
that
remember
happens?
Wimbledon.
Happens every blooming year.
Last time I was there with the man from JLS and Rochelle from the Saturdays.
Oh, were they still together? Were they together? I don't
They
know.
are still together.
All right,
They've
well,
got
I
a
don't
child and all sorts.
Okay. Well, you know, things change. Tennis changes people. John Inverdale.
Oh, yes.
You know that troublesome chap? I think was it on 5 Live or something. He was talking about the Wimbledon champion Marion Bartoli last year.
Yes, what did he say about her again?
He said she was never going to be a looker.
Well,
Talking about her formative years, as if he somehow
he should
knew.
know, to be fair.
I mean, come on. And but he's come back a bit, explained his actions, why he said those horrible
Yes,
things.
because the
about
point
a
was
woman.
it was very unfeminist.
Yes.
And, you know,
Well, it was just
he'd
unnecessary.
suggested that she had to try harder.
Right, because she
you know,
wasn't. Right, okay. So basically, he's he's basically blaming Flowers and his employers about this. Really, he said it was drummed into us over and over again. Never explain, never apologise, because if you do, you'll dig an even bigger hole. So I thought I'll just keep on going and hope that nobody heard it.
it was like the Metropolitan Police in the 80s.
But he went on to basically blame the fact that he was on hay fever medication and he was all over the place and he was just confused and
I love blaming hay fever.
just blaming pollen.
I said Jeremy Clarkson has terrible hay fever, doesn't he? He wants to get some of that.
The BBC in the 1970s, riddled with pollen.
Well, Prince Philip gets it on an hourly basis. He needs some antihistamines.
And he sort of goes on and so Richard Keys, so Alan Partridge, the way he explains it. He said of apologising to the tennis player at the Wimbledon Champions dinner, I went up to say I was sorry, and her exact words to me were, "Don't worry about that. What do you think of my heels?" And I said, "They look great," which they did. So pathetic.
It was pathetic, but I didn't respect what he said. I thought it was absolutely dreadful. But I like that he styled it out. It's a bit Hitler, lie big. Because I like an excuse. And I like wriggling out of something like that.
It is that thing, that moment when you realise you've been digging yourself the hole.
Yes.
And that you're in way deeper than you can ever escape from. That's that feeling of panic as the universe stops spinning for a moment or two.
And there's just no escape. You think, if I go really far past infinity, I might come back round and everything will be okay again.
It was like when I was very late once for it was a history of art class, I think I was doing. And I was very late, and I didn't know what to say, because I'd run out of things to say. So I said, I'm really sorry, I've got a disease.
Got a disease.
I didn't specify the disease, and everyone looked horrified.
Wow.
And we just got on with analysing the Titian.
I imagine there's a lot of kids at your school turning up with like gout and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yes, there is. We'll talk about that in a minute.
You're listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
I can exclusively reveal that Pete Donaldson made it back in time for this next link with, what would you say, Steve Hall, 15 seconds to spare?
Pretty much.
Professional amount of time to get back to the studio.
It was
I know how long songs are, it's fine.
It was something of a nail-biter.
Well, I was actually
Something I hope you weren't doing, given where you were.
I'd wash my hands. I've come back and there's a piece of paper next to me just saying the word gangsters on it.
Oh yeah, they're waiting for me outside. Just FYI, they'll be the ones that don't actually, they won't slow down.
Yeah.
Right, okay, yeah. Okay.
I just have to run in the car.
Emily makes sure no one goes to the toilet and leaves it a bit close. Just the word gangsters.
Yeah, never cut it fine with me. Steve Hall, we were talking about excuses that one makes
We were
in the wake
discussing
of John
Infidale's weak excuse. But
Yes.
I like that moment where you dig yourself into a hole. So my favourite horrific, pathetic excuse was...
Does it involve Doctor Who?
No Doctor
Okay.
Who. Other than...
Could
no, it
Doctor
doesn't
Who
go
be
on.
included? Just include some.
Yeah. Well, it's a sort of happened in the past.
Okay.
So there is some sort of time travel involved. And it's a missing episode from my life.
Yeah,
There you go.
Oh, lovely. He always weaves it in.
At university, my girlfriend at university, every Friday night at our college, they would have a formal dinner where you had to be there bang on time and you'd wear a suit and all that.
Yeah.
And I was horrifically late. I was like 25 minutes late.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'd missed...
Fashion late.
I was embarrassingly late. And so I came in and I was so late and I had no other excuse than I'd just taken a lot longer in the shower. I'd lost track of time. I was singing away.
I think we know what was going on, but I'd rather not talk about it.
And, you've got to get it nice and tidy down there. It's important. And carefully coiffed in the technical area.
Don't tell me.
And so I lied and pretended that, because I used to cycle into our college, so I just pretended that I'd had a horrific accident on my bike. I'd come off my bike. But the more I
Did
kept
you just
talking...
tell a total lie?
Yeah, I told a total lie. I was like, oh, yes, really shaken up. But then it meant that 4 hours later, in the bar afterwards, people would come up going, oh, you were okay, mate? I heard you had a bit of a tricky one. You all right? And I was going, oh, yeah, I was just shaken up. Thankfully, no, I think I might have some bruises in the morning. And it just became... I was tortured by my own lie.
It will come back to haunt
hours.
you.
You had to secretly go out and like just put your foot through your spokes just to,
Yeah.
smash your bike up a bit.
What about when I was working for The Gap and I said I had
Right.
appendicitis because I had a university interview? It was like Jude the Obscure. They couldn't accept that, I had these ambitions. So I told a lie. And it was encouraged by my mother. She said, darling, just say you've got appendicitis. No one will ask.
I mean,
But what she didn't realise, so I took a couple of weeks off, which I thought, great, I'll get a couple of weeks extra into the boot. When I went back, of course, they said, oh, how are you, poor thing? You're in pain.
Yeah.
And I touched my side, and she said, it's on the other side, your
Oh,
appendix.
dear.
No, I think appendix pain can be both sides.
Yeah.
If I
Can
remember-
it?
It's so painful.
Yeah.
It just
Oh,
spreads.
thanks for that. I'll go back in time to 1990.
You could be one of
Yeah.
those mirror image people where their heart's on the right hand side
Yeah.
or the left. I forget, to be honest.
I never worked in the Gap again after that.
My favourite bad excuse is, this Republican senator who doesn't like gay people very much.
Okay.
But he was found
Well, he's
playing
no friend of mine.
footsie. He was found playing footsie in a public toilet with what turned out to be a police officer. So he's obviously absolutely busted, and his excuse was, I have a wide stance when I go to the bathroom.
It's all gone a bit George Michael.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've had an email from Matt. Who says,
lovely.
a question for Emily, your resident fashion guru.
Yes.
I've always thought a grey suit, brown shoe combo was a no-go. I'd like to get Emily's stance on this. I've recently bought some very smart brown shoes. My best suit is grey. You can see where I'm going here. I'm talking a 3-piece light grey Hugo Boss suit with a classic handmade English brown brogue. Good or bad? What does the divine Miss M think? Yours in anticipation, Matt.
Well, I can exclusively reveal, Matt, that you've made the correct decision. Brown should go with grey. Brown with navy. I mean, you can't beat that choice.
Right.
I much prefer the brown/grey. It's a bit like bird markings, and that's always a good thing. Don't go for black. I'm not in favour of a black shoe. It's a bit murderer in a 70s drama. I don't like a black shoe.
Right.
You go for a brown shoe, don't you,
I
Pete
go for a brown
Donaldson?
pointy shoe, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what I would do in this situation is just use a brown shoe cream on the shoe and just work upwards until the whole suit is shiny and brown.
Oh, you can't go brown with brown.
Brown with brown.
No.
Why?
What about you, Steve Hall?
I'm fond of a brown shoe. I won. Some time ago on this show, I complained
Frank
about
Skinner
having...
won't be seen in anything else, may I say?
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
I complained about having lost... I was bidding for some brown Adidas Gerdmullers on eBay.
Oh, nice.
About a year ago.
I'm not being
And I'm
rude, but he did not stop going on about that.
I'm delighted to announce last night I won some.
Yay!
It's
Yeah, but
a
what about the
monkey off
shoes?
my back. I spent £100 on used shoes.
You
That is the
pervert.
least dignified moment of my life. But I
Oh,
love
I
a
don't
brown
know.
shoe.
I think I can find some others.
All manner of grot love.
Yeah.
I'm fond
was-
of a brown shoe.
Clip that.
It was actually the love that I found most objectionable about that, Pete Donaldson. It was the love I could have done with that. Yeah, what I would say, Matt, is you sound like you've got it going on. You sound like you've got good taste anyway.
Yeah.
All I would avoid, I mean, there are certain looks I would avoid. Obviously, you know how we feel about the Top Gear look, no frayed jeans.
Well,
Right.
send in a photo, Matt. We'd like to see,
Yeah.
even if it's just for our own edification. We'd like to see how it looks.
It's good that he's asking questions.
No, don't send in a photo. That sounds really pervy, Steve, and I'll have none of your behaviour. On that bombshell, Steve Hall, it's been lovely having you. Pete Donaldson, it's been equally lovely having you.
Thank
Frank
you.
is back next week. You'll be very relieved to hear. So lots more Birmingham. I've enjoyed it. Be seeing you.
The Frank Skinner Show on Absolute Radio. Back Saturday morning from 8. Tune in live for the full Frank experience.
Absolute Radio.